Hello, everybody. This is Lisa Balthaser here, and we are doing a business spotlight today with Lisa Middleton. And today she is going to talk about her business, and this is so exciting. I have known Lisa for a long time, and I totally admire her business because I used to want to be an architect, and she is an architect. So I just love her business, and I want you to love it too. So we have Lisa Middleton here. She is the CEO and architectural designer at Urban Aesthetics and the foodie builder. Also, she is a writer and a poet. So, but we're not talking about those things today, but she is so talented. And today we are going to talk about her architectural business, Urban Aesthetics. And I will let you introduce yourself so you can say what you want to say. Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I am Lisa Middleton, also known as the Foodie Builder, owner of Urban Aesthetics. The Foodie Builder is the brand of Urban Aesthetics, which is a brand that specializes in restaurant design. Oops. My hello?
You're
Can you
still
see me?
here.
I'm sorry. My thing fell, and I don't know where I can't see myself.
You're not on camera. Something must have happened.
Oh no. What happened?
I hear you though.
Okay.
There you
My
go.
my I'm sorry. My contraption I had set up kind of messed up. Okay, here I am again.
That's
This
okay.
is
This is
why
like put something
I
in
don't
front
like
of it.
live.
Put something in front of
Okay.
it that's heavy.
Okay, there you go. No, it's okay. Here we go. I'm sorry. This is why I
That's
don't like live.
this is live.
But
Hey,
anyway,
this is why I do like live because we're real. We're real people.
so let's start all over again. Okay, I'm Lisa Middleton, the Foodie Builder. That's my brand. Urban Aesthetics is the company, and under the company Urban Aesthetics, we have architectural design services, restaurant design services, consulting services, and also writing services. So, writing is a part of Urban Aesthetics. We have several books that are architecture related. So, everything kind of ties in together.
That's awesome. You are so talented. I really have to say, you really are one of the more talented people that I know, which is a good thing.
I don't, you know what? I don't think I'm any more talented than anybody else. I think what it is you can use your talents no matter what they are in your business.
Yeah.
You just have to find a way to work it through your business. I think there's a lot of people that have multiple talents, but they just have to find a way. And a lot of people do find ways to incorporate all their talents in their business.
Right. And I think that's really on target what you just said. Because sometimes we don't recognize our strengths but when we do, and that's not what we're doing, we think, well, maybe we need to change our business, but maybe you don't. Maybe you can just work it into your business and do
I
what you're
agree.
passionate about and bring those other things you love into it too. So what are some of the reasons you decided to become an architect?
I fell in love with architecture in the ninth grade. I always used to love drawing when I was growing up. And if you're as old as I am, you remember the TV Guide or the TV Weekly. And in the TV Weekly, they used to have this thing, Draw Tippy. And I won that little contest when I was a kid. And I used to just draw I would always draw things. And that combined with when I was in elementary school, we used to play with Legos and I always used to like putting together houses. So my favorite thing growing up was little miniatures of what was really big, and putting together houses. So those kind of things developed an interest. And of course, we all watched the Brady Bunch reruns, and we saw Mr. Brady, and his career was architecture. It didn't click for me then, but then when I started going to engineering and science, we had drafting classes and architecture classes, and that's when it kind of clicked, where I combined my my interest in architecture, my interest in drawing, and all of that kind of just came right together. And that's what I wanted to do. I knew I loved it from that point on.
That's cool. I used to look at the Sunday paper too with all of that. And did you remember when it used to to have the floor plans in the newspaper? Do you remember that?
No.
Oh my gosh. In the paper where I lived, Lisa, and this is why I actually had an interest in architecture. They used to have a weekly showcase floor plan. And
Really?
I looked forward to this house, this floor plan. Don't ask.
Wow. I would love that.
Yeah, they had a weekly floor plan in the paper where I lived. I don't know if it was part of the parade. I don't know if you guys had the parade, but yeah, I don't know if it was part of that, but I think it was something extra, but it was a weekly floor plan. And I saved them and I studied them and I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Like you would love it.
That would have been really cool. I know we used to have the house, like the house section of the paper where they would feature houses, but I don't remember floor plans being in it.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, what were some of the obstacles you had to overcome along the way? Because I know becoming an architect, especially back, because you and I are about the same age. So back then, there weren't a lot of female architects. And I know for myself, I was actually told, "Oh no, you can't be an architect. It's a man's field." Blah blah blah. And I actually had that happen to me. So tell me about like some of the obstacles you had to overcome, because I'm sure there were some.
Well, with me, it was a lot more subtle. They didn't come right out and say it, but maybe you should think about another career choice.
Oh boy.
That was the line that was given to me in my senior year of high school, and I'd love to see that counselor now. Um, but yeah, the thing is, I took architecture in 11th grade, and then 12th grade I did an independent study in architecture, and I was so used to only being around men. Everybody in my class was a man, except I think one for a little bit there was a girl in the 11th grade there was a girl, and then in the 12th grade there was one other girl. And then when I started college, of course I was the only female in a lot of classes. And it's something that you get used to, not only being the only female, but being one of the few minorities. It just became something that was second nature to me. So I used to work with people who would get so upset they would start crying sometimes because they felt like the men were treating them a certain way. And I remember saying to one girl, this is our first job, both of our first jobs in the field. And I said to her, I said, "Do you have any brothers?" And she was like, "No." And I said, "Well, I guess I'm kind of used to it because I have a brother, and I used to hang around his friends sometimes in the neighborhood when I was younger, and I used to play some of the games he played, and I'm just kind of used to it. And then when you go to high school and you're in classes where there's a lot of men, you just get kind of used to them, and that's really they didn't bother me. They we would laugh and joke, and their jokes and their silliness never bothered me much.
Wow, that's great. I mean, 'cause I know for me, like I actually had 2 years of architectural drawing in high school, and I was one of two females in a class of 30. And we stuck together in that class because it was brutal.
Really?
So,
See, we didn't even talk to each other.
oh wow,
Myself
that's
and
so
the other girl, we never said a word to each other. So it was the complete opposite for me.
wow. But it made you stronger and it made you figure out ways to just be in that industry and just be your own person, which is really awesome. So when I first met you, you just had urban aesthetics, as far as I know, anyway, you did. I mean, it was years ago, but you've changed some of the things that you've done. Your business has grown. You've branched out into some of the things. What prompted some of those changes?
Well, my dream was always, of course, to publish. So I think since I've known you, I published right either right before or right after I met you. That was the first book I published. So that was always a dream, even from when I was young, was to publish a book because I was always a writer. And so that was one thing. And then the second thing was I fell in love with restaurant design in 2003, 2004 with a firm that I worked for that only did restaurant design. So when I started my business, one of the biggest things I wanted to do was to concentrate on restaurant design. Of course, when you first come out, people don't know who you are.
Right.
and they don't know what you can do. So I would do a couple of restaurants, maybe one a year, maybe two a year, sometimes three. But the when I finally decided to focus on it, it was around 2015. I started going to more restaurant shows because I hadn't been in a while, and I started to immerse myself in the food community and joining organizations, taking classes, getting certifications over the years, and just continually going to the different trade shows and being connected with people in the industry. I decided to create a brand which would end up being an offshoot of Urban Aesthetics. It's not an offshoot yet, but it will be. And it's called Foodie Builder. And it took me a while to come up with that name. I had crazy names, and people talked me out of my names, and I'm glad they did. I think I had Foodie Infrastructure Specialist as one of my.
Oh my.
And
That's
then
a big name, and for the average person, they'd be like,
they
"What
would be
is
like, "What in the world is that?" Yeah. And my sister was like, "No, you cannot name your business Foodie Infrastructure." So then I had a couple of friends. We went to dinner. We threw out some names here and there. We put some things together, and Foodie Builder was born. And then quickly got a logo and a website, and now I'm working on building that brand to become more of what Urban Aesthetics is, more of the identity of Urban Aesthetics. My identity with Urban Aesthetics, the company, is to enhance the appearance of urban communities, the aesthetics of urban communities, and I've done that. So my future goals are to expand that more into the food industry because that's what I love. That's the part of design that I love.
right?" So thanks for coming, Jessica. I see Jessica has to leave now, and that's okay. You can catch the replay; it will be available. Um, wow, that's amazing, Lisa. And I remember when you came up with your logo for the Foodie Builder. I remember when you were working on it and when you were building all of that out. And I remember the excitement that you had. And I guess it's because I didn't realize it was brewing for so long. I really
Yeah,
didn't know.
it was fun.
Yeah.
It was almost as much fun as it was when I first started my business. It was a
Yeah. So
lot of fun.
you had a lot of excitement I remember at that time about that part of your business. And I know you jumped in and you did a couple of restaurants, and when I looked at them, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. My friend is doing this is great. And I was excited for you because I mean, I know I've seen your work and it's phenomenal. um
Oh, thank you.
yeah. And so now some people that watch this video may have some misconceptions about architects, and what architects do, and why you need them, and all of that. So what are some common misconceptions that come up, or that you've heard over the years, and you've had to break through those misconceptions, because I'm sure there are many with architecture.
Oh, there's so many. Okay, so, oh my goodness, I love this question. Actually, this might be one of my frequently asked questions that I'm adding to my website. A lot of people don't know, number one, what architects are, what they do. People don't understand that you can't just call a contractor when you want to do a major alteration, a major renovation. You have to call someone who understands building codes first, because a contractor might come out and go, "Oh yeah, you can move that wall." Well, the wall might be a load bearing wall. The wall might be, um, it might cut off the room flow. There could be so many reasons why you can't just move the wall. It might include electricity, plumbing. I mean, there's just a lot of reasons, and sometimes people go into projects not knowing. They hire a contractor. He comes out, he gives them an estimate, and then he or she, I won't just say he, and then the thing is, your estimate is based on what? Do they have a knowledge of building codes? Do they understand that what the full scope of the project is, and whether or not that project can actually be done on your house, or your whatever kind of building you have? Some things can't be done because of zoning restrictions. Basement bedrooms are a huge thing. But I'll use residential because it's a more general space. And in residential projects, a lot of times people will call a contractor in, have them convert the basements into living space, have them convert a garage into living space. Those are the two biggest spaces people make the biggest mistakes. And the reason why you can't just automatically convert them into living spaces is some major things. They have to have direct exit outside. They have to have light. They have to have proper ventilation and proper ceiling height. And some of these things can be a life safety issue. And also for resale, if you create a bedroom basement and then you go to sell your house and it's 6'5" that's not really a bedroom because that's something that's not allowed. So contractors will go ahead and convert that, and I've seen it happen over and over again. But you've gotten a bedroom created, and now number one, it's a fire hazard. It might be an insurance issue, and number two, you can't resell it saying it's a bedroom or any kind of living space because living spaces have to have certain heights, they have to have egress, and they have to have specific kind of light. So there's a lot of things that general contractors, even a GC, won't necessarily know that without getting a set of plans. And also, plans are required, permits are required for a lot of things that have to do with renovations, building alterations, all kind of things.
That's
Electrical work.
information. And when you were talking, I was thinking about one of the apartments that I had when I was younger, and it was a basement apartment, and it was a full, it was a kitchen, living room, bedroom, bathroom, and closet. But I bet you that would not pass from what you're saying because I could barely stand up in it. The ceiling, the ceiling was like, you couldn't jump in this room. You couldn't put your hand, like I couldn't put my hands up because the ceiling was literally like just over my head.
Now, let's keep in mind that over the years, building codes have changed. They change every 3 years. As far as during my career, it's been 7 feet. That's the minimum.
Wow.
Minimum height, 7 feet. I don't know what it could have been before my career, but I've been in this business for 25 years. And a lot of people always say, oh, it's grandfathered in. It's not necessarily grandfathered in when you change. This is the biggest thing, biggest misconception. You buy a house that you want to renovate and you want to flip it. Well, that house has a finished basement in it, and it has an apartment on the third floor. So you want it to be a duplex. Let's just say that. And you buy it, and it's not zoned as a duplex, and so you want to rent it out. You want to rent. Let's skip the flip it. You want to just rent it out. Well, in Philadelphia and many other cities, you have to have a renter's license. You have to have proper insurance, proper zoning, and everything. You go to get that house, get your renter's license for that. You're going to immediately find out if it's not properly zoned, you can't do what you want to do with it. And a lot of times you don't know this from your real estate agent because their requirement is to just sell you something. Very diligent real estate agents will tell you, well, the zoning on that is not allowing it to be a duplex, even though it has 2 apartments in it. Wow. And what they'll do is they'll go through legalizing the space. There's a lot of extra stuff that I don't want to really get too technical about, but we get into a lot of work with lawyers and doing legalizing of apartments and spaces that aren't zoned for what they're supposed to be.
I can imagine. I like some of this stuff is new to me, so like this is really fascinating to listen to. And I know from living in Philadelphia for 25 years, I know what some of the apartments are like there. Yeah, so this is really fascinating. So what are some of the most common reasons people need an architect? Like what are the most common reasons they seek you out? But then on top of that, what are some of the things that they should be seeking an architect for and don't? I think you kind of hit on one or two already, but I think this is great information for people to know, because a lot of times people don't think they need an architect, and maybe they do.
Yeah, a lot of times architects are left out of the equation, if you look at every home improvement show on HGTV, well, I stopped watching a few years ago because I just got frustrated with it. But a lot of home improvement shows negate architects and engineers completely. And so so whenever you're doing I'll go with what the jargon is with most permit requirements across the country. Whenever you build, alter, or repair something, you should at least reach out and find out. If you don't want to call architects to find out, call your local municipality and ask them what is required for you to be able to build, alter, or repair whatever you want to do. And a lot of times it can go as far as rewiring. It can go as far as plumbing, and architects don't deal with plumbing and rewiring, but you might need an engineer. Engineers do the same thing, but for that specific purpose, for electrical, for plumbing, for structural issues. So you're going to need a design professional a lot of times when you build, alter, or repair. A lot of times there are hack jobs or jobs that are done improperly or without proper papers because they were done without contacting a design professional. And a
Yes.
real estate agent I know, she actually told me, she said it helps with resale if you have documentation for whatever renovations you've done. She
Right.
said it helps with insurance and resale.
Yep. I bet it does. I can imagine. Wow, this is really interesting. So, I mean, so you're giving the insight. I mean, any a contractor can come in and they can build and things like that. And a lot of contractors, unfortunately, they'll come in and they'll do what you want them to do, but they're not necessarily going to tell you any repercussions that could come from that.
Some
So,
of them honestly don't know. Some
yeah.
of them don't know but don't want to deal with going through the paperwork for many reasons. I don't
Mhm.
want to get into those reasons. There are in my book, A Homeowner's Guide to Renovations and Maintenance, I actually go through the different types of contractors. And there are some really, really good contractors who will tell you, I can't do anything until you get plans. And they won't do anything. So you have your range of contractors. You have the ones that'll jump in and tell you they can do anything. You have the ones that if you read my book, you'll see all the different ones. But there's different characteristics of contractors,
Yes.
and again, it's better to be an educated consumer than to try to depend on what a contractor knows. And a lot of people, for some reason, with all the nightmares you see everywhere with contractors, they still listen to contractors before anybody. And
Oh
I
my.
never will understand that. I have been in my own business for 14 years and in this business for 25 years. I have friends, family members, everybody I can think of that will do work based on what a contractor tells them instead of listening to municipalities who have the rules, architects who have the laws. I mean, I don't know why, I don't know what it is. I just don't get it. And I
Yeah.
don't get it.
Yeah, I do see that too, where people will they trust the contractors to know all of the stuff. And sometimes they don't know, and sometimes they just don't want to deal with the headaches of, like, say, the permits or whatever is necessary. There's a lot of shortcuts that happen at times. So they should actually definitely check to make sure things are getting done properly, because it protects them. So
It
yeah.
does legally. It protects them. It protects them as far as insurance is concerned. There's a lot of reasons why they should want to do it as well. But you can't tell people what to do. They do
Right.
what they want to do. I try to provide information. I try to put as much information out as I can to help people just make the right decisions. Even in my group residential renovation realities, I put out just a questionnaire. Who do you call first when doing a major renovation or addition? And most of the people pick the contractor.
Mm.
How is a contractor going to give you a scope of work and a price on something that they have no plans for? They don't know the codes for it, and they don't even know whether or not you can do it because you have zoning issues for a lot of things. So there's so many things that go into what you can actually do with a major alteration or renovation that it just baffles my mind. It really does.
That was a great point that you just made about how they could give an estimate for something that they don't have the plans for. That was a really, really great point. Because yeah, I would imagine that would be hard because they don't have the plan and they don't have the details.
I mean, they can give you a ballpark and tell you what area you'll be in, but they cannot give you, for example, if you want to put an addition on your house, you don't even know if you can put an addition on your house without plans. That's just the bottom line. You
Mhm.
have to know what's allowed based on coverage, and
Right.
that's a zoning issue. You have to have plans for it.
Right. Yeah. So, wow, that's amazing. Do you have any resources for people? Any free downloads, any free books, anything that would be helpful for the audience? If you do, you can put. Are you able? Do you have access to the link right now? I'm not sure
Um,
if you do, but if not,
I don't
you can drop
know.
it in afterwards. That's okay.
I have a chat thing here, but I don't really know how to use it because I've never
Oh,
really
okay.
used it on there. I'll put it in the comments if that helps.
Okay.
But I do have, okay, so I have a couple of things.
Okay.
I have my Instagram pages, LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm always putting out information. I have a Facebook group for residential
Oh, that's
people who just information tips on renovations and home maintenance. That's called Residential Renovation Realities. I also have a free ebook coming up in June, and it will be on home maintenance tips. Then, for resources you might want to purchase, I have my book called A Homeowner's Guide to Renovations and Maintenance. And if you're a commercial client wanting to open a restaurant, I have a complete guide to creating tasty spaces. I also have information
oh,
about
that was
blueprint
cool.
reading.
What was the Facebook group again?
Oh, residential renovation realities.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. For contractors, lay people, real estate agents who may want to learn more about blueprint reading, I do have a book that's called uh, I'm sorry, a brief guide to understanding construction documents, and I also have a class for that, just to help contractors, lay people, real estate agents understand blueprints. You might think that sounds strange, but there are a lot of contractors who don't know how to read blueprints,
Wow. Yeah,
and they don't want to admit it. A lot of times, they won't admit it.
so you can help them because you have a class that teaches that. That's awesome. I have the
Yes.
Facebook group for residential renovation realities. Is that right? Do I
Yeah,
have
that's correct. That is correct.
I couldn't remember the words that you used, so I was like, "Oh gosh, what did she just say?" So, yeah, so I have
I was
that.
going on and on.
Yeah, I have that at the bottom. But yeah, Lisa is a great resource. I know I'm in the Facebook group Residential Renovation Realities, and she posts really fantastic information for homeowners, things that I haven't known. Like I always look at her posts, and I'm like, oh wow, that's really interesting because it's things that you just don't think about every day. And she has such a wealth of knowledge about homes, about structures, and about code and like so much. So she
And
is.
we also have experts in our group that are contractors. There's a couple of group experts there. Dan Collins is one of them. There's some interior designers who are experts that are in our group. And sometimes they'll come in and they'll add interior design tips. So it's not just me spewing out information to residences. We also have other experts in the group that will give their information also.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't even know that. That's very cool. So where can people reach you if they want to reach you?
I am on, so there's a few sites. There's Felicia Middleton, the foodie builder. There's Urban Aesthetics LLC. There's Residential Renovation Realities. Those are all Facebook pages and groups. Then I'm also on LinkedIn, Felicia Middleton. Then I'm on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram, I'm on as Urban Aesthetics LLC. and also as Foodie Builder. Twitter, I'm on as Foodie Builder, and Urban Aesthetics on Twitter. So I'm all over
Right.
social. Well, I do have a TikTok account, but I don't know what I'm doing with it yet. So I'm not
Yeah, me
really.
too.
Yeah, I'm just playing. I'm not dancing yet.
No, me neither. Yeah, so yeah, and if you do follow Lisa, remember on LinkedIn she's under Felicia Middleton. So in case you're looking for her on LinkedIn, I just
Oh
wanted to.
yes, my real name is Felicia. My real name is Felicia. Everybody calls me Lisa, and it's been a battle during these years that I've been self-employed because the people that know me as Lisa, when I put Felicia, they don't know who Felicia is, believe it or not. Believe it or not, family members even. And then when I put Lisa and I'm in the entrepreneurial world, they don't know who Lisa is. So a few years ago, about 5 or 6 years ago, I just decided to put both of them on. So
Right.
mostly I use Lisa now.
Yeah, I know you as both. So like I would know either, but not everybody does. And the thing is when you meet somebody and you see the name or you hear the name, that's what you generally remember. So yeah, I just wanted to point that out. But if you follow Lisa on any of those, the Foodie Builder, Urban Aesthetics, on Twitter, and I think you have another one. I am
Oh, that's
literally.
my personal
Oh, oh, okay.
Instagram. I mean,
So,
you can go on there, but it's going to be me rambling on nonsense. We really don't want to.
so urban
That's
aesthetics
my
and the foodie builder. Like I
yeah.
love her posts. She does really great value add posts. So if this is something that you're interested in or want more information about, I mean, absolutely follow her there. Um, so we're going to wrap it up. I appreciate you coming on, Lisa. This has been fun. I've
Thank
learned
you. It's been fun being on here.
Yeah, I've learned things
Really
that I
has.
didn't even know. So this was really, really fascinating for me. And thank you, everybody,
And
for.
and just to say one thing, Lisa also gives information that I don't know. So it's kind of both ways. I don't know anything about marketing and social media, so I go to her for that information. So it's kind of the same.
Oh, I just remembered. You said it's what month is it? Something
Oh,
that.
it's Building Safety Month. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm actually a member of the International Code Council, and also I've made a proclamation to promote it. It is Building Safety Month, and during this month we promote the importance of safety in buildings, which goes back to your code officials providing the correct information for whether or not you can build the way you want to build. It's all kind of information, all kind of resources out on all the platforms that I just rambled through to you. But we're promoting Building Safety Month because it's important to be safe in your buildings.
It is so important. And I remember when that devastating fire happened in Philadelphia, you put out a lot
Yes,
of really good information for people. You cannot be too safe in your building. That's all.
that's so true. That is so true. And we'll be talking about fires this month as well. I believe next week. I think next week is disaster preparedness. So
Oh,
we
okay.
will talk about fires during that week, fire extinguishers, and all kinds of fun, if you want to call it fun.
You know what? It's really information that people need, and maybe they don't pay as much attention to it as they should, but they really do need that information. So what you're putting out to the world, you're really helping people when they see it in the feed. Yeah, maybe they didn't know they wanted to see it that day, but they learned something.
I'm
So
hoping that they will take heed to it before anything happens. That's
yes.
really my biggest hope is that you won't have a fire and then wish you would have put um, you know um, batteries in your smoke detector, or you wish you would have had an up to date um, fire extinguisher. I'm just hoping that these things will help you before you get into a point where you wish you had.
I think all those little reminders do help, because really, the more we see things, the more it gets ingrained into us. So, you can only do what you can do. So, you're doing your part, you're putting that out to the world. And I love that you're doing that because those things are so necessary. And like I said, when that fire happened, that was devastating for the whole city. And you put out some really, really good information around that time. I remember seeing it and thinking to myself, wow, this is really good. It's really such a shame and breaks my heart that people don't
Mm-hmm.
take heed to it. So yeah, but I just wanted to point that out. And so we are going to go. Thank you so much for being here. It was
Thank
fantastic
you for
having you.
having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. I loved it.
I had a good time.